Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Big Bad Quest. Today, we bring 3 tabletop role-playing game titans of design together to collaborate to build worlds beyond your imagination in just 15 minutes. Each world will be based on space-themed prompts, and you, the chat, will be able to participate in voting and suggesting prompts later on in the stream. Why? Because it's cool. But of course, we are also here to promote 2 awesome events happening this year. Big Bad Con is a gaming convention that highlights indie and small press games, and Pocket Quest is DriveThru's game jam for new and experienced designers. We'll be talking about all of that and more, but first, let's introduce our fabulous hosts and designers. Starting with me, I am Brooke Whitney. I am a DriveThru RPG partner relations representative and also the host of Design Dash, which is a friendly competition show where creators go head-to-head to design an encounter in 15 minutes based on a surprise prompt. Sound familiar? Our first episode is coming out in July for the DMs Guild, so I hope you guys will stay tuned to the Roll20 Twitch and YouTube channels for that. And I will pass it on to my fabulous co-host, Danny. Take it away, Danny.
Thanks, Brooke. Hey, y'all. My name is Danny. I am the community manager for Roll20, and you can usually find me causing chaos and loving my friends all over the internet. But I'll keep mine short because we have an amazing host, Sean. Sean, if you could introduce yourself, and I have a fun little icebreaker for you.
Sure thing. I mean, I just want to preface that, Danny, you cause just beautiful himbo, lovely chaos. I mean, it's a special band of chaos, and it is just the best. Yes, I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns. I am the steward of Big Bad Con and Big Bad Online, and I am absolutely delighted this September. All of these folks, I hope they're all stretch goal guests. We've reached some of them, and the others we will hopefully reach very soon. All these folks will be coming to Big Bad. It's just a wonderful event. I'm so proud of everything we've done, and so excited to see folks there. Danny, what are your icebreakers?
Yeah, so we know you like your hats a little evil and your cons big and bad.
Yes.
But how do you like your coffee?
How do I like my coffee? I like my coffee not coffee. I can drink any coffee drink that is not actually coffee itself. Tea, great. Chai, all day long. Froofy frappuccino drinks, sure, I'll do that too. Coffee itself is no bueno. It's not nice to me.
Y'all heard it here. If y'all go to Big Bad Con, bring Sean a froofy frappuccino.
Yeah, that is the truth. Yeah.
All right. And we'll throw it over to one of our first guest designers, Aaron. Aaron, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Aaron Catano-Saez. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a voice actor and a podcaster. And it's cool because I've been making for 7 years a podcast called All My Fantasy Children, where every episode we create a piece of a world, a unique character, a myth, inspired by listener-submitted prompts. So I've been doing this for 7 years. So I'm hyped to be here creating fantasy world-building nonsense inspired by prompts. I'm like, this is literally the only thing I do. Occasionally I write for games, but I'm like, this is my jam.
I thought so, Aaron. I was like, I think a good person for this.
Glad this is collaborative and not competitive.
Yeah.
So Design Dash is competitive, so we might have to bring Aaron back on so he can do some. He can take this title and run with it. But Aaron.
Yeah.
If you could voice act in any project, what would it be? And can we get like a little sample if that's not putting you on the spot too much?
I've thought about this, and I want to one day be a very cliche like wizard bad guy who is defeated by like, you know, in like a Resident Evil game, you shoot one barrel and it blows up. I want to say something like, what? But it was only one barrel. And like that kind of, you know, how did you acquire this power? It was just one barrel. Like things like that. That is my dream. Even if it's just that line. Casting directors, if you're listening to me, I will be the barrel wizard of your dreams.
Listen, I'm going to clip that and then you can put it into your voice. Your voice wheel.
We said in the beginning you're all wizards, and now we know what kind of wizard Aaron is. The barrel
wizard.
Speaking of wizards, let's throw it over to LaTia.
Why me? Hi. Hello, everybody. I'm LaTia Jaquise. I am the community manager for D&D at Wizards of the Coast, one half of that awesome community management team. You might also know me from such things as Rivals of Waterdeep, Critical Role Call of the Netherdeep, which I wrote on. I write a lot of deep stuff.
LaTia the Deep.
LaTia the Deep. But yeah, I've actually been on Design Dash before in its previous iteration, and I'm kind of happy to be back doing something a little collaborative and fun. This is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, and not to put you on the spot, but what does D&D actually stand for?
All right, I'm going to reveal to you the secrets of the universe. D&D stands for Destiny and Diet Coke.
I knew it. That's why I've been chugging 12 packs of Diet Coke every day of my life.
Look, Danny, you get me. You get me. We're Diet Coke friends.
Chat just suggested Deep and Deep, which I think is
Deep
a
and
deep
Deep.
candidate.
Full circle.
Full circle.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, and last but not least, let's introduce our last guest designer, Meguey.
Meguey.
Meguey. Sorry. I was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and it got a little gooey. So
No.
Meguey's on
So,
the
I'm Meguey Baker. Meg is fine. My name is an intentional misspelling of an obscure Mexican floral name. I was born in 1971, and that's all you need to know to explain why I got the name I did. Anyway, yeah, Meg is fine. What do you want to know?
Hey, Meg. So, some people might not know, but you are one of the co-creators of Powered by the Apocalypse system. But I want to know, if your life was powered by anything other than the apocalypse, what would it be powered by?
Whew. I totally missed the part where I was supposed to say things about myself. Yeah.
You can do that too.
Yeah.
You can still talk more about yourself. I want to know more about Meg.
So my husband Vincent Baker and I co-created Powered by Apocalypse World. I coined the term Powered by the Apocalypse. So that's that. I've been designing games for a lot of years. Under Hollow Hills is the big new game that we're very, very excited about. It's going to have its big convention debut this year at Big Bad Con and one other place. Yeah, I love storytelling. I love world building. I work in museums doing a lot of work to elevate underrepresented voices in American history and bring forward more stories. It's a whole big deal. So I'm thrilled to be here. The dominant thread in my life, if it's not Powered by the Apocalypse, it's thread. I do a lot of different textile arts. I'm a textile conservation specialist in my museum work. And it's really, really where world design and like world building starts for me, is like, what are people wearing? And, what are they? It's very visual. What do they look like? What are they touching? That sort of thing. Yeah, thread. It's where it's at.
That's amazing. I got some chills. And also, I'm a fangirl a little bit because I love Powered by the Apocalypse games. So thank you for your mind and putting your heart and soul out there. But yeah, I'll throw it back to Brooke and we can get this party started.
Yes. So today, our three designers will be collaborating on a surprise prompt, never before heard except by myself and Danny, who is the one who came up with this. So are you guys ready to get started?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No.
All right. Your first prompt to build a world around is interstellar animals. So we will have you three hop into a Discord call to do some secret discussions. We'll be able to peep in on what you guys are writing while you are writing it. But good luck and have fun.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
I love that I did not know what that prompt was either, because you're like, surprise prompt. I'm like, cool. Surprise
All
for
right,
who?
are we all here?
Yes. Okay, excellent.
I must exit to switch rooms, literally.
Excellent.
Oh yeah. So LaTia, Megan, Aaron, make sure you're muted on.
Oh my gosh. And we have 15 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you guys are in the call and settled, then we will start the timer. It's not already started. Or Aaron's gonna have to run even faster.
Yeah, Aaron is being a champ right now, and he's running back and forth to switch his settings because his computer is not in the same room as he is. And there he goes.
Okay,
Aaron left
I
the frame, killed me. Yes, he killed us too. We were in tech prep. We were all having a lot of fun as he was running it out. All right, it looks
Yeah.
like they're in. Looks like they're doing the thing.
I think they're in. I've left the call, so
Okay.
I don't have any intel, and I've
Okay.
officially started the timer once Aaron got back. So
Boom.
Yes,
Okay.
very exciting. So while we sort of watch them work their magic, we will be talking about the topic of the day, which is Big Bad Con.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so excited to talk about this. This stream today is brought to you in collaboration between Big Bad Con and Pocket Quest, bringing these two amazing events together. So Sean, would you like to talk and tell us a little bit about Big Bad Con and what it's all about?
Yeah. Please, Danny, keep that timer on me too, so I don't blab too long.
I got you.
This isn't 15 minutes of Sean's exposition, but Big Bad Con started in 2011, and as we've grown, the focus of it has become more and more on bringing marginalized folks from marginalized backgrounds and identities to the con, and making the con welcoming to feel not just attend, but also really be part of it, to be putting on events, to be part of leadership. And we're just really thrilled at how it's grown and how it's still very community focused. We're a little con for sure, but we've also been able to introduce some really wonderful industry opportunities too. It started in 2019. We had our first ever POC meet and greet, and that was part of a larger program, a scholarship that helped a lot of gamers of color come out to the con. But the effects of it were really incredible. We brought a bunch of industry professionals and a bunch of gamers of color who were, creators, artists, editors, wanted to get into the field or advance themselves in the field, and connected them. And folks got mentorship, they got freelance work, some folks got career jobs, and it was magical. For some folks, they said it was career changing. For a few, they said it was life changing. Literally, some people were able to move to other countries because of career opportunities that they got. It's
Wow.
really amazing. And I mean, that is not the guarantee, but that is the aspiration. And in some cases we hit it. And so we did it again last year. We were in a new hotel, beautiful space, and we're able to expand the program and bring out more international guests. And we're doing it again this year. And so I'm just real jazzed. We're crowdfunding right now. All of our LaTia, Meg, and Aaron are all stretch goal guests. So if the crowdfunding
And I saw that as of today, the Baker family has been unlocked, so they will be attending, which is so exciting. The entire clan of Bakers will be there, and Meg is also running a workshop at the con as well. So for those of you who don't know, Big Bad Con is from September 28th to October 1st this year. It takes place in San Francisco, I believe. Yes. And it is a volunteer-run nonprofit organization, which is super cool. And currently, if you don't know, Drive Thru RPG is raising money for the convention with 2 charity bundles of our top sellers until June 12th. So you guys should pick it up. There's so many great titles: Thirsty Sword Lesbians, The Cypher System Rulebook, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and more for $24.99. And Sean, do you want to talk a little bit about the crowdfunding campaign for Big Bad Con? That's
absolutely. Well, first, I just got to say thank you so much for the Big Bad Bundle. It is Drive Thru, incredibly generous. All of the publishers who have contributed are incredibly generous. I don't know how visible it is to folks, but all these publishers who are selling their games that would otherwise be, collecting money for their games are instead donating that to Big Bad Con, and it's going right into our scholarship fund, which is going to help more folks attend the con. So, I mean, it's such a wonderful package. Also, I'm watching them in the other room. We can't hear them, but we can see them. And I'm watching Aaron do this motion, and I'm just curious what it is. But I'll try not to be distracted by that. But yeah, the crowdfunding campaign essentially covers for us, the big expense of the con is always like the printing, all the flyers and banners and programs, and the big one is the hotel. And so by crowdfunding, we sell our badges so you can attend the con, but we also add in a lot of extra things. Like Danny, you asked about coffee earlier. Well, if you do like coffee, you can get a badge and some coffee grounds from Hyacinth Coffee. Or if you're like me and can't drink coffee because it will hurt you, you can get a badge and tea from Friday Afternoon Tea. that is going to be making a special Big Bad selection just for us. So we've got lots of really lovely pledge levels. If you can't attend the con, there are some levels for you. Like you can play a game with one of our GMs online before the con, or you can support the scholarship, or you can have a room named after you. So there's lots of ways, even if you're like, that sounds great, but I can't make it to California. We've got pledge levels for you. And now that we've hit our funding goal, all our stretch goals from here out are to bring amazing folks to the con, and they're all going to be running great events. Like as Brooke said, not just Meg, but the entire Baker family, all 5 of them are coming out. And apparently I found out from Meg today that the list of events that I listed were just the events Meg was going to run. I thought that was all of them. It's like 4 events. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. They're each running like 2, 3, 4 events. So there's going to be like 15, 20 Baker events happening. It's going to be amazing. So
Baker takeover.
They do. I mean, and they run
the Bakeover.
The Baker. Well, in 2019, they came out and ran a game of Murderous Ghosts, a sort of like as many players as you want, because anyone could jump in, because Murderous Ghosts has this ability for people to jump into the game, and it was such a hit. I love the way the Bakers in particular just are always so community focused. It's like everybody come and participate. This isn't about putting on a show. It's about bringing everybody together and making space for them. They're so good at it. So.
I believe one of the items that you can purchase is to play a game of Tiandang, which me and Danny have played. We were in a playtest for it. It was so much fun. So I highly recommend you pick that up if you have the funds to, because it's a blast.
Yeah. Sen is running it. He's one of the co-creators, along with Calvin, Deanne, and Banana Chan. And they are. This is where, like you said, Danny, I wear lots of hats. I also am the project manager for Evil Hat, and so there's this lovely crossover in my life where I get to like see things happen and then watch the games come. And Sen offered to run a game of Chen Zhang for us, and it's very cool. So I recommend highly grabbing that. I think we also got Shrine Beastboss. We just added him running a game of Blades in the Dark as well. So there's some very cool games you can play online.
Yes. Yeah. So of all of the awesome things that are happening, what are you most excited for at Big Bad Con this year?
Oh my goodness, what a question, Brooke! You're making me choose between my children. This is unfair. Well, first off, I want to say that I have also asked that very question. If you are a backer, the update I literally put out like 20 minutes before we went live here was a update about the progress of the campaign, but it was also a poll about what are you most excited about: LARPs, RPGs, community events, etc. So if you want to answer that, just back the con at any level, and you can tell us what you're most excited about. But for me, what am I most excited about? So I love our community events. So I think I'm sort of like cheating, and I'm going to call a category of events. So last year, Indrani brought out a bunch of dice that she made, Nottingham dice. You can't really see this one because it isn't painted, because I was too busy running around and I missed the dice painting. So I'm coming back this year, and I'm going to carve out the time to paint my dice. She's going to be doing a dice painting workshop. Banana Chan is running a fashion show on Thursday night. So people can come and dress up. And then following the fashion show is our intergalactic croquet match, where people dress fancy and play croquet. So I know none of these things are role-playing games or LARPs, but they're like, which I love. Trust me, I love RPGs and LARPs. But for me, the rewarding things are where I can see so many people coming together, and you could just jump in, have fun, and connect with people, and it's a lovely time to see all those.
Sean, you say it's not a LARP, but last year at a lot of these community events, people got into it, and last year I got to go almost on both sides. I got to go as a POC scholar and go through the scholarship track, but then I was also able to be a part of the POC dinner and be able to offer advice for people that wanted to get into marketing and community building. But that's just me being a super big supporter of Big Bad Con, because it's just an amazing amazing convention, unlike any other. But the reason I say that was because last year, Banana and Aaron, one of our guest designers, they ran a D&D poetry session. But it wasn't really a poetry session. It was something else, and maybe we can get them to run something else like it this year. So I won't ruin it. But one of the coolest parts was it was listed as a D&D poetry session, and people actually wrote poetry for it and performed it, and it was the cutest thing, and everybody was supportive, and like huge standing ovation for the person that wrote their poem after they delivered it. So it was just like small moments like that I'll always keep with me when I think about Big Bad Con.
Thank you.
You convinced me. I'm ready to book my flight.
Come on down.
I'm on my way. That is so exciting.
Is open. You're ready. You can get a flight. You can get a room. And as of a couple days ago, you can get a badge. Like anybody wants to come. But yes, Brooke, I mean, everybody that I know at Drive Thru Roll20, just such lovely human beings. And like Danny, I think you captured that energy perfectly. It's those moments that really stand out. You know, you're gonna have a great game where you crit or you fumble horribly or but I think the connections are always the thing that I walk away just feeling so good about.
Guys, buy your badges today. On the backer kit, we have some commands in the chat where you can get links to the bundles, the backer kit for Big Bad Con, and also, of course, information about our guests. And Danny, how are you looking on time?
I just gave him the 4-minute warning, so
good.
Okay,
the timer right now is reading 3:30.
We'll talk briefly about Pocket Quest before we run out of time because Big Bad Con is awesome, but Pocket Quest is also awesome. This is a game jam that Drive Thru RPG is hosting, challenging creators to design pocket-sized tabletop role-playing games based on space. So these are 20 pages or less standalone games. We are highly encouraging new designers to hop in and join. We have a starter kit that includes templates, guides, and graphics to help you get started. And these are all due by July 1st. But once we turn them live, we're going to have so much marketing support for everybody who publishes a game. We'll have the whole front page of Drive Thru RPG dedicated to Pocket Quest and everybody's games who are going to be live on that day. And we will just be celebrating them in our newsletters, in our social media, and more. So if you guys haven't already, we have a Discord server where you can grab the Pocket Quest role, as well as some help articles to learn more about that. So sign up soon. You still have 3 weeks. We have a bunch of submissions already, but it is not too late to get started. And hopefully we also have links to that in the chat. And last but not least, I will turn it over to Danny to talk about some news with Roll20.
Yeah, one of the biggest releases right now on Roll20 is that we are actively updating our user interface. So we started off with the toolbar. That was one of the first things that the team wanted to tackle to make it easier, to make it more streamlined. We've broken out the different layer system. So now you don't have to go into layers. You can just easily access the layers at the bottom. So right now it's in the opt-in phase, which is amazing. Because when you opt in, you can use it and then you can give direct feedback to the team. And internally, we've set some metrics where we're not going to make any definitive changes until enough people try it out and let us know what their feedback is. So we're really encouraging people to at least try it out, opt in, see what you like about it, see what you don't like about it, and let the team know, because we are actively trying to make it a better experience to tell stories on a virtual platform, because that's what we do. We want to make it more accessible. We want to make it easier so that we can worry less about what we're putting out there and more about what we're telling and engaging around the table. So
there's a lot of really great quality of life improvements in this change. I've seen it. The zoom is so much smoother. Just being able to switch between levels without having to click twice. You don't have to click once on the level and then on. It's just right there. Just really smart design choices.
Yeah. Our team has been working hard, and they based a lot of their choices on research. So it is research based, and again, we're actively listening on the forums and on socials. So we love to hear that, and we would love to hear everybody else's opinion as we move forward to make it a better a better user experience for everybody that chooses to use Roll20. But we are actually at the 10-second countdown. So I'm gonna go hop over
Okay.
into the Discord and bring our designers back.
All
You
right.
might see some
Live.
shock on their faces, and then we'll see what they came up with.
Yeah. Well, while Danny runs out, Brooke, I just want to say, like, I love that you're encouraging people to create small games. I feel like one of the biggest stumbling blocks of getting into game design is feeling like you've got to make a 250-page comprehensive thing. It's so, the way you want to learn is by trying little things, starting small, failing fast, like figuring out what doesn't work, and then moving on. And having a 20-page Pocket Quest submission is like such a beautiful place where you're like, this is a game. It's a full thing, but it's not, you don't need to spend years doing this. This is an opportunity to flex some muscles you might not have used before and try some things out, but not be so daunted by like, I have to make this giant thing. So.
And it is a challenge to edit yourself down to 20
For
pages.
sure.
Like you can write 100 pages, and then when it's like, yeah, but we only need 20, then it's like, what do I get rid of? So that in itself is a fantastic experience to have. Just being able to cut back on all of the ideas flowing.
Everybody needs an editor. I say this specifically of myself. Luckily, my partner is an amazing editor, and so I can very often ask her. I say, Karen, could you take a look at this before I send it to the world? It's yes, curving it down. I'm sure. Yeah, it's a challenge.
We are
But a good
back.
one.
Yes, welcome back. I am so excited. We saw some arm movements and other.
Was my camera on the whole time?
expressions.
Oh no, I thought you switched me off.
It's better
we
this
would
way.
We cannot wait to hear it. Can you guys break down and present to us what you have created?
Okay. Where do we begin?
We begin in the cosmos.
So for anybody that is just getting in, we gave these amazing guest designers the prompt interstellar animals, and they had 15 minutes to create a world just based on that prompt. And when I hopped into the Discord to get them, I hopped in on some really intense, maybe not intense, but some deep. I feel like that's a word of the day. Some
Very
deep
deep.
things. So yeah, take it away, y'all.
Well, as Aaron says, we begin in the cosmos, a world created out of space dust, and at the center of this world is the chinchilla that moves the world.
Quite literally. Yeah.
Quite literally.
Quite literally.
I'm already into this.
There is a cosmic chinchilla that travels the cosmos, and as it rolls, it collects space dust. And as that tumbleweed, as that katamari rolls, it grows and creates universes. And there's also possums. I'm passing my baton.
Meg, tell us about the possums.
Oh, Meg, you're muted.
Meg, you're muty. Unmute on the Google, Meg.
Technology
Oh, no.
is tough, kids.
Wait, Meg.
Meg.
You're muted on the Google. Yeah, you're good. Just unmute on the Google tab.
No,
Still
No.
muted.
we still
Oh,
so.
no.
But on the bright side, she can hear us, which is
Yes.
half of the problem.
Yeah,
How's that? Are we good?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Are we good? Yay. Okay, we're good. All right,
Yay.
now to recreate that, I'm going to catch the baton and I'm going to talk about possums. So the possums are a species of beings that live on one of the worlds through which the rolling space dust of the cosmic chinchilla has created. And their mission is to go through the leavings, the little scatterings that are left behind, and collect anything that might be toxic or damaging and gather that in. The possums are what I guess earth-based life forms call them when we encounter them, because it's just the closest human earth world analogous creature. I love them. I want to draw them, and they're little spaceships that have they're like little squishy pouches that go through space and they grab
Yes.
things. Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously, as you can see in the Google Doc, we decided that there is a homeostasis between the cosmic world of the chinchilla and the possum that collects the space dust that keeps the chinchilla, we're just going to call it the chinchilla cosmos, in balance. And we talked about whether or not there was some sort of predator that kind of like hunts the world and that, you know, the possums might want to keep away. But we've decided that it's truly it's a symbiotic relationship because the chinchilla has no control over what it collects. So it collects anything, and a lot of that stuff is not great. So it's the job of the possum to root through that space dust and collect all of that toxic waste and keep the chinchilla cosmos in balance.
And as a result, we made this beautiful mythology. I think it's beautiful, about personal responsibility, because as the world continues to move and toxicity and evil and things pop up, it's only natural that there's going to be not good to balance out all of the good. It is our job to essentially clean that up and help the world move by being possums ourselves and pruning and clipping and helping people along so that the possum, the chinchilla, can keep rolling and keep collecting and doing its thing. It's kind of a wonderful lesson about personal responsibility, morality, and allowing the world to move in its natural course. And it is up to us, the possums, to do our part and contribute positively, because negativity is going to happen. But it is our job to turn it into good, decompose it, break it down, make it something that fuels the chinchilla engine.
It also has this element of faith and action, and how you keep doing the things that you deal with the mess, deal with the difficult, deal with the challenging, for something bigger than outside yourself. Because in the mythology of the Chinchillaverse, there is
That's
the
canon now, the
chinchilla.
chinchilla.
The chinchilla will come back around to our part of the galaxy sometime eventually. Some possums might not think so, but we have to keep doing our part anyway.
For some reason, I'm just imagining one of those like apocalypse world ending movies, but instead of like a meteor coming towards Earth, it's just a giant chinchilla with a bunch of dust rolling in their direction.
I would welcome that oblivion and be like, I'm part of something bigger than myself.
Do we all know just how cute chinchillas are? Because like
they're so cute. Oh my gosh. And do you know how amazing opossums are? Opossums are like the best, most amazing creature. But it is an incredible miracle that there's ever another opossum, because they just don't like each other.
Yeah.
They just don't. They don't like each other. I love them. I love them so much. Anyway, we're gonna be quiet about opossums now.
That is so fantastic. I have some questions for each of you about sort of your world building process. So we'll start with Meg. You mentioned your series of articles, the Fall of the Thread concept, which is fantastic. How do you follow the thread in space? What is your approach to sort of, sci-fi and that concept?
Wow. I mean, instantly I think of the entire history of spacesuits, and from the very first ideas of what we might need to wear into space and up to like cutting edge technology now, and the way you need to use fabric to create safety for your very fragile human body. And it's instantly there. There's no piece of existence that doesn't connect directly to thread and fabric, and I stand by that. One of the places I'd love to see further in the Chinchillaverse is, chinchillas are very fluffy, and as I think Aaron mentioned, that they're, or maybe Sean, that in the fur industry that's a thing. So does the fur of the great chinchilla come to does it fall? What happens then?
Like
do we have
from heaven?
Yes,
right? And do we have this incredible, like, rare and occasional fiber that has been through space, and then do the possums get to make their spacesuits out of that? That's cool. And yeah, I could go on. I just, yeah, this. Do you have a follow-up question?
Shedding.
Otherwise, I'm just going to talk about
No,
how
I
you might
love
knit
that.
cosmic
It's like
chinchilla fur
vibranium.
into a season for a
Yeah.
possum.
People will worship the fibers of the chinchilla as it drifts down from the heavens.
In
I
chat,
love
King and Commoner asks, are possums or opossums? Because they aren't the same thing, and one is much cuter than the other. Is that true?
Yeah,
I'm not
there's
a
that.
possum.
This is one of those instances, like we said in the design jam, where people use the name for a creature or plant that they're familiar with when they encounter another thing that looks vaguely like that. Robins in North America don't look like anything like the robins in Europe. It's just a thing. So the opossum possum question is valid. I don't know the exact difference because here we're in New England where I live, they're used kind of interchangeably. Although there are animals with the same name across the world, like marsupials. The opossums are our only marsupial in the States. But
Yeah.
there's other ones everywhere.
I offer. I have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, LaTia.
No, I was just gonna say, I think we're talking about the cuter possum version, but true, like just as Meg says, it's interchangeable. Like if I were going somewhere and heard somebody say opossum, I would still think they were talking about the cute possum version, because that's just, I know it has two names, and I know that there's one. It's like otters versus river otters. You don't want to encounter a river otter. You don't want to do that.
Right.
Oh, river otters, very scary. Oh my gosh.
Linguistically, the O in opossum has traditionally been dropped, so you often will pronounce opossum possum as well. Like that's a linguistic trend. So
I like to think of it as a patronymic, O apostrophe possum, of the family of possum.
I like to think of this possum as OH comma possum.
Oh, I love that.
No, but to answer this a very Simpsons Magic Xylophone style, if you were to gaze at the possums that we're referencing, it would be a horror beyond our comprehension and would be difficult to for our minds to grasp. So it's whatever your imagination decides.
But we know that they have long noses and little ears and little feet and pouches, and that their young hang out on their back.
And that they're cute.
And that they can have 22 young at a time. That's how it is. But they only can feed 13 of them. Possums are freaking weird, I tell you.
I love that. And not a question from chat, but Asurakai says, I would like to request a formal playing dead mechanic for our opponents.
Yes. Heck yes. I love that.
I mean, in space, the need to conserve energy and to hibernate is real. So I think possums being able to do space travel might really be dependent in some ways on that sort of hibernation.
Honestly, I'm learning a lot more about animals than I thought I would today. So thank you all.
What we're here for.
On top of being designers, they are also experts in animal behavior. Sean, Aaron, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Your podcast, I've seen you guys create a city on the moon to Cranberry Rivers. So how do you go from these very specific niche prompts and then turn that into a city or a region or an entire world?
So me, with my background in theater, I like to go from why do people tell stories and myths? Like you encounter myths and tall tales in your everyday life all the time that they become so commonplace. Just like the tale of Icarus is referenced on and on and on. And I'd like to get to the bottom of with every prompt. I go, what's behind this one? Because I start with people, we start with characters, and then how do they interpret the story? How do they experience this prompt? Because even with this possum, I like to think about how would I on Earth say if this myth was presented to me? How do I interpret this? Is it literal? Is it this? Is it that? But anyway, the answer to the question would be, I like to think about how people tell stories and why they create these things. Is it to explain something? Is it to make sense of a natural phenomena that they don't understand in this fantasy world? Because when you incorporate magic, it's a fun catch-all that you can incorporate with world building to be, it can be science, it can be supernatural, it can be anything. So figuring out what a region is based on its mythology? What are stories that people tell of it? Do people understand its science? Do people know it? Do they not? Do they use tall tales to define their region? You know, you always hear like, oh, this town was founded on the gold mine and blah, 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 blah. Do they always know what a gold mine was? Do they know how to use gold, or do they extract it for other things from our world? So it's basically breaking down myths and stories that we tell in our own world and how we can bring them into fantasy settings is what gets my juices flowing. Even something as simple as this interstellar hedgehog or chinchilla is like, I was like, oh, it's on the move. Is it building? Is it growing? Is it? And then, you know, you slowly pull at the yarn, to borrow an image from Meg, until you unravel how we all kind of tell stories and use them to make sense of our world, or just enjoy it more, as that's what we're off to do now. Yeah, so that's it's my specialty. It's what I like to do.
And thus the chinchilla was born.
Love it. Love it.
That is fantastic. I also have a question for LaTia.
Whoa.
So you've written some adventures in pre-established settings like Wildmount. And so how do you approach world building in a setting like that some places have already been fleshed out? Do you think there are different challenges to that?
I do, because you never want to step on what has already been created. So I like to find those little pockets of mystery where things are left vague, you know? So one of the adventures that I did way back, I think beginning of 2020, I wrote a little short adventure based in the forests, or it's like a ruined city / forest of Malaya's Mere in Wildmount. And the only thing you know about that area is that like something cataclysmic ruined it a while ago, you know? And so that just kind of leaves a full past completely open for exploration and interpretation. So then you kind of take what you know about how it is now and that vague stuff that you know about what it was then, and then you just kind of fill in the gaps to kind of like your own pleasure and make that make sense, because you also do still want it to make sense within the world. Like if you're you want somebody to look at it and go, oh yeah, that is a possibility of something that happened, that could have happened, you know, in the time between then and now. So you don't want it to just be completely outrageous. But you know, knowing as much of the source material as you can, and just kind of going from there is kind of my approach to it.
I've played through the first half of Call of the Netherdeep, which I understand is the one that you had contributed that part to the most.
Yes.
It's so much fun. It was a blast. So fantastic work. We have some prompts that we have created that we were hoping the chat would get to vote on to participate in what our guests will be world building for next. So if we could get that poll set up. In the meantime, I saw this on Twitter yesterday. Can I please learn how Meg and Sean met? Can you guys tell me that story?
Yeah.
I would love to hear that live.
All right. So I met Sean at PAX Prime 12 years ago, at least. I think.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were playing. I'd never met you before, and we played in a run of The Inheritance, which is a parlor LARP about a Viking funeral, interconnected family and funeral, and the results of the will. It was fantastic. I played Gudrun, who's a wise woman of the old ways, and Sean played Rain, who was this just really full of himself, obnoxious third son of my other relatively connected family. That boy, no good is going to come of that.
Yeah. His major, he very much wanted to marry Meg's daughter's.
My daughter. I don't think so.
Ron.
Not going to happen.
And Ron was like way not in Ron's class. Like he was like, so his older brother and Ron were betrothed. His
Yep.
older brother was murdered by the second brother, who was banished and who has just returned because of the inheritance and who wants a piece even though he was banished. And Ring is somehow thinking in all this, well, my oldest brother, who was my hero, is murdered by my second brother, who is now the
It's a
villain.
whole disaster.
So I just get to step up, and I'm gonna carry the family fortune. I'm gonna get the inheritance. I'm gonna marry the girl. And he was just an idiot. I mean,
but here's the moment. Here's the moment, though. What happened was that everything came to a head, and Ring was fighting somebody on the beach and was wounded very, very badly. Yeah. Was wounded very badly because I believe I ordered you all out of the house to go take this battle.
That's why we fought in the water instead of in the house.
And and Ring was terribly injured. I was an EMT back before I had kids, so I have a lot of take care of medical things. But in that moment, what happened, and I don't know, Sean, if I've ever mentioned this, like in that moment, I realized for the story that if I saved Ring's life in that moment, he would become another completely debilitated, incapacitated Viking. And that's no life for anyone. And so it was a recognition of why this whole trauma was playing out for these two families was because of that. And so it was in Godrun's awareness of what the culture was and an act of mercy to say, we have to let Ring die in the rain on the beach because that is a better end to his life than letting him live as a completely incapacitated Viking.
Yeah.
Also, there's no way in hell you're marrying my daughter. I don't think so. No.
It was so good. It's funny that that's the most salient memory for you. It makes sense why. For me, the most salient memory was when I was sort of charging about, blustering along, and you literally, Meg, who was shorter than I am, like stood in my path and was like, no. And it was this whole Gandalf, you shall not pass. Like, you're being an idiot. You need to take that outside. You're not bringing that chaos and that big dick energy into my house.
Not having it.
And I was like, okay. And it was funny because the facilitator was like, you can just, you're a warrior. You can just push past her. And I'm like, no, I can't. No, I'm I've been put in my place. I, of course, then just continued to be an idiot. But it was such a great moment where like Meg and I had this very ferocious intensity for two people who didn't know each other. Like our characters were just like deadlocked and for a moment, and it was wonderful.
It was awesome.
Intense.
The one part that was hard was the scene on the beach when I was realizing what was happened and my training kicked in too hard and I broke immersion and said, may I touch you? Because that's something you say as a medical responder, you get permission to, I'm here to help,
Also nice thing to do in LARP too. So
you were like, oh yeah, sure. Yes, of course, obviously with LARP. But I was aware that in that moment, because it was so far in, we had established so much rapport that it was this moment where I totally broke. It was like, all right, is that okay if I touch you? And you said, oh yeah, sure. And that was just this wonderful little tiny out of character bit. And then for years, every year you'd be like, so are you coming to Big Bad Con? And I would be like, God, I wish, but I was raising my teenagers through their life and doing other stuff. And then y'all came to Living Games some years back on this side of the world and said, here's what we're doing at Big Bad Con with Big Bad World. And I just cried and I just lost it in the audience. And this is, I don't know, I'm a mess about it. I love it. Thank you so much. And then after that,
we were celebrating earlier that we have successfully funded the crowdfunding campaign to bring your entire family to Big Bad Con. So that's super exciting. I am so excited for you guys, and I know you guys are going to run so many awesome events. So thank you for participating in that. So Danny has let me know the poll has already been done. So would you like to reveal what the prompt is?
Yeah, so we asked chat, we put up a poll. Me and Brooke came up with these before, and we let chat vote on it. So the three that weren't picked yet, just so y'all know, The
Okay.
first one was Where the Black Hole Leads.
Ugh.
The second one was Battle in the Ringed Planet. And the last one was Defying Gravity.
Okay.
Little Broadway reference.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
one,
You've completely ruined my chances of writing a wicked TTRPG. How could you?
Oh, you can do it right after the stream, honestly. Let's link up. But chat has chosen probably the most unhinged one that we came up with, and it is Drinking the Milky Way. So
Simple candy bar.
This is a
themed prompt.
world
We're not-
building
it's not that
prompt.
big
Okay, here we
as a world
go.
building prompt.
Yes, and so we will just have you guys up on the stream. The host will mute and just get our popcorn out to watch as you guys work wonders. So you guys can start whenever you're ready.
Oh, I see.
Like
I
live
must
right
make you
here.
a do.
Oh, wow.
Drinking the Milky Way. All right, so can we? But we're doing this live. We're not going into another breakout room, right? We're not.
Oh yeah,
doing
Aaron.
this.
Oh no, I should have said Aaron.
Right.
Aaron's sprinting.
That's all right. He'll be back. It'll be okay. I would like. Let's grab him. Somebody grab him from the Discord. There he is.
Yeah, I'll get him.
All
From
right,
the
cool.
Discord.
Can we take this one metaphoric though, as opposed to literal?
Are you asking me?
We're
Or are you
actually
asking
right
the
here
team?
doing it.
Oh no. Aaron, run, Aaron, run.
I feel
He's
like
just getting
Danny,
stepped
since
in.
Oh,
they're
poor
not
Aaron.
taking the Discord, they have the right to ask us questions. I feel like that's a fair question.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh. All right, Aaron's on his way back.
Okay, cool.
I'm back.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's my take on this. Drinking the Milky Way. Let's have this be metaphorical, not literal, and let's have it be about seafaring.
Ooh.
Woo.
So it's on Earth, and it's about seafaring somehow, because we use the stars for navigation completely, right?
I like that.
And also it contains maps. I am extremely, extraordinarily, hugely fond of maps, and the different ways that people have different types of maps that people have created over the millennia. Amazing. Yeah, go for it, Aaron. You're about to burst. I can tell.
So if that's the case, is someone who has drunk of the Milky Way or drunk the Milky Way, is this someone who is someone who an expert navigator and who has basically mapped out the stars? Is it
Yeah, love that.
I have drunk of the Milky Way. I know I can find anything using the stars.
Yeah, I dig that.
Because I like it being like some kind of title, because it's so grand and it's so large. In terms of maps, is it all oral tradition, or is it
I think it's
mapping?
got to have something that's physical. It's got to have some physical piece. But I love that it's like rounding the horn, right? It's a thing that you do, that this means something, or you cross the Pacific, that means something.
Yeah.
My immediate callback was to Moana, actually.
Yes.
And how Pacific Islanders would use the stars to navigate, and how that was a whole point of conflict for Moana, because she never left her island. She wanted to leave her island, but she did not know how to navigate. So do we have somebody who, or is there a person or a group of people, or just a generalization of someone who doesn't drink of the Milky Way, or who has never drunk of the Milky Way?
So wait, can I ask you? You mean so? I've never seen Moana.
That's okay.
So does that mean you're saying that are we creating? Is it a title, or is it an entire culture of people similar to our world who use seafaring, stargazing, and navigating through stars, and then there's just some people who do not, who have not drunk of the Milky Way? Is that what you mean?
Yes, but like not necessarily in a they have for one reason or another, they just haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who choose not to go to sea. right?
Mhm.
Because everywhere you have a seafaring people, you have people whose job and role it is to stay ashore. You have shipbuilders, you have sail weavers, you have people who do all the stuff necessary to enable these other people to go and sail successfully.
So, LaTia, what I really like is the idea of someone who has not drunk of the Milky Way. It makes me think of, is this something where, say I'm the navigator, right? I drew the map, I did all that stuff. Am I someone on the shore who draws a map for the sailors to follow and then they leave and I stay on land? Or am I the navigator on the boat with these people? You know what I mean?
Both could be true.
Both could be true.
Well, it could be true.
I
How
love
rare is it?
how rare is it to have drunk from the Milky Way?
Yes.
I'm thinking about above the Arctic Circle map making, where it's often on sticks and it's carved, so you can feel it with your hand, just like, oh, that bay goes in like that, and because you're in darkness so much of the time that you have other senses that are involved. So maybe there's part of that in the map making, is that and that you have to find a way to translate. It's not just drawing a map, but do you have to have been there to know? And then do
Yeah.
you retire once you've drunk of the Milky Way? Do you then retire from sailing and become a map maker?
If I may.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the physical touching. I saw you like rubbing your thumb. What if in our case, in this new variant of drinking of the Milky Way and map making, do you make jewelry that is a string of stars or crystals that you run your thumb across, and that's the map itself?
Yes.
Love that.
Like it's
Yeah.
a necklace of like gem, 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 gem. And so the person on the ship can just feel their way. Like, I know I go
Like,
east
this is
here,
where I'm at.
this is west. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's based on the stars.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Ugh, let's go.
Yeah. Multiple forms of. Is this multiple forms of drinking the Milky Way? Like, we have map making, we have stick carving, we have jewelry crafting. Is that like is that what we're saying here, so that I can just write it down?
It seems like it's like all part of a coherent culture. Like we talk about, we're sailing, when you have become successfully able to navigate by the stars, then you have drunk of the Milky Way, and you can now transmit that through a map to other people. And then we have this question of, some people never do drink of the Milky Way, and that now we've got the beginnings of a world where there's all kinds of interesting stuff about travel and family and trade and craft and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
The different versions of this practice is what really appeals to me too, where like, because this we'll call it this skill, this power could manifest in a multitude of ways, where like there's jewelry making, there's physical map making. Some people ride on the ship and are like, go east, now west, because they know. But it's how this translates or manifests varies from person to person or culture to culture. And this is where like it gets broad and really opens up and gets so spicy of how it's interpreted and based on parts of the world, based on if you're from a place where the night sky is not clear all the time,
right?
What does it mean to peer through this veil of clouds and see beyond that, and still like you can see flecks of light? And like, what does it mean? Because it's easier to do when there's no clouds or light pollution. But what if there were? What if it was, you're freaking Mordor and it's like just cloudy, dark, smoggy? What does that translate to drink the Milky Way,
I just saw LaTia go, oh, and I really want to know what that was.
Because he
enters chat and you have 8 minutes left.
Holla. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, 8. It's what I was thinking of when you mentioned when you mentioned clouds and things like that, but also different parts of the world. You have one piece of jewelry or one wood carving or I'm going to use those specifically because on a map it's a lot easier to see, the kind of the world at large, but like you have a piece of jewelry that comes from, let's say, the southeast, for example, that is a completely different sky than someone who's looking at the sky in the northwest. And that's a challenge on its own. Like, you have to know where these things originated to be able to use them correctly.
That's so good. That bangs. Oh,
Love that.
And it creates this beautiful interconnectedness of people who have drunk of the Milky Way to be like, oh, this is from, Mount Holly. This is a piece from Mount Holly. And you have to understand that from where they are up top, up high, their view of the stars is almost to see it at eye level. So it's like almost like a horizontal telling of the story rather than, we know it as this vast expanse of almost up and down. It's, that's so good that it unites all these people who have drunk from the Milky Way.
Yeah.
It's just a form of, it's very craftsman, very, very, there's a language, there's a hidden language.
There is a language.
Again, go for it.
More things. So it's like, it's such an honor to have drunk from the Milky Way.
Yeah.
The moment that somebody, like the moment that it becomes known to this community that someone has drunk of the Milky Way, and like they use it with such gravitas, they get gifts. They get these different pieces of jewelry from all around the world because, you've only drunk of the Milky Way from like where you are. Now it's time to go somewhere else. Go somewhere else.
And it means that there's this amazing interconnected gift exchange between, like, if the three of us had drunk from the Milky Way in our own different places and we meet up and like, oh, hey, yeah, here's my little thing. Here you go, because there's a desire, I want to learn more, and so that's how we would keep that going.
The thing that crosses, even if in this world, say there are different languages, we're going with that, where there are language barriers, this would pierce that in the way that craftspeople, if you are a mason, no matter where you are in the world, you can see someone else's stonework and be like, oh, I see the I see the work you've done here. And it speaks to me. It tells me your story through your woodworking. And that is a form of communication that I feel like in this, it tells you literally what the sky over this person's head looks like and the world that they see. And it's just so stunning. This is a banger. If somebody steals this, I'm going to find you and I'm going to beat your ass. This is our idea and we're selling it.
Yeah. The three of us, we own this. We're going to do something.
Yeah. Aaron's going to beat your metaphoric ass. This is just for legal reasons.
I'm going to beat your metaphorical ass.
Awesome. Thank you to whoever put that prompt together. That was a really wonderful prompt. Beautifully done.
All
Thank
Danny.
you.
It was all Danny.
Oh, thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Danny.
Yeah. Do we have anything else to add to this, or are we just going to riff on this for another 6 minutes?
This is my jam. I'm like sitting here, and then like and the clothes they wear are also decorated in star patterns and things.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Oh yeah.
There's so many weaving and knitting and it also trickles out to like so many different other things like the cane pattern to weave baskets and nets, and it just expands and expands and expands. Yeah, undoubtedly.
Weird.
And I did mention sail making because there's that too. But do we have anything else? I think LaTia's point is very good. Like, do we have anything else that Brooke or anybody needs us to do? Because otherwise we will just continue to
just keep
jam on this.
Go until that buzzer rings.
Honestly, y'all have 3 minutes left, so I love hearing your brains work, but we can also go back and chit chat more. So
I have a funny thought.
Yeah.
That if you've drunk of the Milky Way and you kind of suck, you think it's like a weird flex to like wear a robe that has like not where you're from on it, the map, and like, oh I just came back from Mount Laurel, and over there it's like there's a star here. I know all you think that there's that star, that no, over there it's different. And you're like, we get it, you went abroad, David, no one cares.
Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna go on the other side of that for the last minute and a half. Who is against this? Who does
Oh!
not? Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's just get that out of the way. Who is our big bad against those who
So
have
it
drunk
would
of the Milky
in
Way?
if you're talking about like shipping and
Mhm.
a nautical culture, the people, anything that depends on resources from mountains, hillsides, like people who are
Mhm.
against that are going to be factory producers who are like coal powered, or wood powered or whatever, to say no, we have all the goods we need here, and we don't need your trade goods. We don't need you contacting these other we don't need the cross cultural communication. We can just isolate and like
Mm.
be our own little
Yeah.
Or
thing and
even
produce everything.
even some who would kind of use it for their own ends. I had the thought of
Ooh.
a map creator who would intentionally leave stars off of a
Ooh.
thing.
Yes, oh my god, they do that, like
Evil.
the islands on maps that appear and disappear because they are used like on actual in the actual world. Places on maps that appear and disappear because a map maker puts them there to say, this is my signature on my map. They don't sign it. They're like, this island. And then you can watch that percolate out through other map makers who like, and then someone goes there and wait, there's no freaking island here. And they make a new map that doesn't have that island. It's one of my wonderful tiny little weird things. I love it. You are so right. Yes.
I feel
The
like
map
what you
makers
said
could
is
lie about maps.
it's the interconnectedness is the goal of those who have drunk of the Milky Way, is connecting
Yeah.
people. The antithesis would be it has the power to separate people by telling misinformation
Lies.
and lying about maps and things like that. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's this perfect circle of good and evil in terms of how this is used. And God, it's a banger. It's a banger.
It's good. It's a good one.
It's good.
Like it.
Good.
Remember, kids, always drink the Milky Way. You got all the nutrients you need to see beyond.
The way that was perfectly at the 15-minute point, like that was the perfect ending.
Nice. Love it. Love it. I'm glad that we ended with a commercial with a little button on that.
That was fantastic. I honestly, this is like the best advertisement for Aaron's podcast, All My Fantasy Children, because this is just it for an hour. So,
That's
you know,
No.
it's amazing to listen to you guys
Do
work
you
through
have
these ideas.
guests, Aaron? I want to do
Yeah,
this
Aaron.
more.
Hey.
I'll send you some DMs or emails.
Thank you.
Okay,
Please, we need more of this for like an hour plus for sure.
Honestly,
on the
Sean,
topic,
is this a potential event?
This
at
is a
Big
panel.
Bad Con?
This is
Oh
a
yeah,
panel.
yeah. Well, I mean, Meg has been like, when we were first talking about this at Big Bad Online this year, Meg was on a
I did.
Worldbuilding
Yeah.
panel that was amazing and
Yep.
it's very similar. So yes, I'm here for it. We've just doubled the panel room space at Big Bad this year because we had so many panel submissions. So we like got a second room. So now we're adding a new panel, another track because there's so many good panels and workshops. So yeah,
Nice.
I would be very excited about a world building panel. Just
now
like
you have an entire panel right there.
there it is. We'll just call it Drink
so
Milky Way, and people will figure out what it means.
yeah,
That's great. Yeah.
that was fantastic. Before we wrap up, I'll just pick your brains a little bit more because that was just so cool. I'll ask Meg first. Do you feel like your skills or knowledge that you use as a museum curator and consultant overlap with your game design and world building at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the basic storytelling is our innate human right. I would say our innate mammal right. And it's how we experience everything. It's how we make sense of our lives, whether it's history or mythology or philosophy or how to tie your shoes or how to make a peanut butter and jam sandwich. It's role playing and storytelling is how we do all of that from the time we are tiny children until we die. And it's definitely part of the ways that I do world building and storytelling and character creation, both in museum exhibits work and in role-playing games. I'm telling a story and I'm trying to bring you along on that story so that I can show you things, or that I can help you get to your own knowledge and your own experience of things. Yeah, it's absolutely tied in together. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually read a book that sort of talked about those maps where they would like put in a room, like a secret room, and then another map wouldn't have that. And then in this book, it was like that becomes real because there is a map of it with that room. So I think that would also be a cool concept to throw into this drinking the Milky Way. Because what if someone makes a map of it and then it is a place? Then what happens? So
When y'all
I love
mentioned that,
that.
I audibly gasped on my end. I was like,
I
So
love
cool.
that. It's such a lovely, weird little thing, but if you look at maps all throughout the 17 and 1800s, you can watch these little islands and towns. It doesn't even have to be in the ocean. They just appear and disappear all the time.
Yeah.
Bananas.
And yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna say
Oh no,
something.
I was just making an exclamation. Sorry.
I just love that banana was just there in the captions for a good long while for us to
Banana.
contemplate.
Totally on.
Erin, I feel like sometimes creators sort of return to the same things that they know when building worlds, but how do you keep your ideas fresh and keep pulling, to me, I feel like these are all super novel ideas that you come up with. How do you do that?
Not like my secret, but it's to pull from things I love, people, places, stories. I love to hike. I always say that a lot of my ideas in the show come from the natural world, because a lot of the time when you really break it down, like in biology, it sounds like something out of straight up science fiction or something out of magic and fantasy. Like the concept of photosynthesis itself is wild. So it's pulling from things I love. The show itself is, my co-creator Jeff Stormer and I grew up together. We met when we were 15, and a lot of it is what we call big sleepover energy, where when you're hanging out with your friends and they're all nerds, you start thinking of ideas and talking about world building and stuff, but you're pulling from things that you both share, shows you like, places you love. A lot of the show is inspired by southern New Jersey, where we're from, and the Pine Barrens and the mysteries and the myths behind it. So my thing has always been pulling from joy, finding the joy in world building, and pulling from things that I love or find to be mysterious, and adding magic into that, because there is an innate magic in so much of nature and honestly where you're from and the feelings that it brings to you and your friends and your family, that there's an infinite number of things. Like I've always loved the Stephen Sondheim quote from A Sunday in the Park with George, where it's, anything you do, let it come from you, then it will be new. Give us more to see. Meaning, like, all you have to do is pull from your own life and your own experiences, and it will be truly unique and your own. And that's been the engine that's kept our show running for 7 years and like over 200 episodes. It's because we're like, I was at the Pine Barrens this week. Let's create our own version of that. Or I just played a barbarian in a game. Let's create our own version of that. And bring that big sleepover energy. This panel itself had big sleepover energy. We're just hanging around, spitballing, having fun. And in that, bringing our own unique experiences and expertise and backgrounds, that hodgepodge can create something truly wonderful and new and beautiful. And it's just ours. And that's what makes it so cool. But anyway,
Look,
that's
we
my
made a hat.
secret. Yeah, look, we made a hat. I see you.
And you have got to watch Moana.
I know.
Oh my gosh,
It gets
you're gonna love it.
What the heck?
Like, no.
That is amazing. And then LaTia, what do you believe are the most important elements to really breathe life into a world? Like, how do you make a world come alive?
Oh man, air holes.
I totally hear you.
I was like,
you are
what?
so right.
I was like, wait a minute. This is about to be really deep writing stuff. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, no,
everybody.
she is
That's
spot on.
That's it, air holes. No, really, I mean, a lot of it is a lot of throwback to what Erin said about, filling it with love and joy and Meredith. I'm sorry. Meredith caught me off guard in chat. But I think breathing, like, if you love it so much, you want to see it be the fullest thing that it can. And I think giving it, I mean, really air holes, give it that space and the opportunity to fill it with that spirit and to just kind of make it come alive. I said air holes as a joke, but it's true.
Yeah, yeah, like leaving the spaces. You got to leave those spaces. Mm-hmm.
Especially
We call
if you
those
make a world,
we
you
call
want-
those the fruitful void. You have to leave the fruitful void in your design so that other things can happen there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Leave space for other people because you like what one of the things that you want when you are creating a story or when you are storytelling is you want other people to take that and fill it with their own experiences. And if you're too close-minded about it, if you're too protective of it, that's never going to happen. So you have to have, I love the fruitful void. You have to have the fruitful void to be filled with things and experiences of other people because this is TTRPGs, this is role playing, this is collaborative storytelling, and the joy of knowing what other people like, hearing other people's stories. Like when we finished Netherdeep and Netherdeep was out, and everybody was like, "Oh, I'm so excited to tell these stories. I'm so excited to see what." And then to having people come to me and say, "Oh, here's what we did when we got to this place. Here's what we did when we got to that place." That is the joy. That is what fills me with life. That is what makes me want to continue creating because I want more people. It's that a gorgeous positive feedback loop of people telling me positive things so that I can be positive and put that right back out.
Mm-hmm. Here.
And parties can go in such different directions. They start in the same place, and then one's all the way over here, the other's over here. So I think that's one of the nice things. And I think you mentioned this in an interview about Exandria and Wildmount, is that you can make it your own. Like, it is an established setting, but you have the room and you're encouraged to make it your Exandria, which is really a nice concept. Did you have anything to add, Sean, to that? I think you had started saying something.
Oh, you all said it so much better than I was gonna say. I every time you go into a world, you want to make your own space in it. I think the very first time I ran a game that was set in Dune, I was like, Paul's dead. Let's find out what happened. Let's take that big thing that was holding all the space and say Jamis won the duel and Paul died, and now where do we go? Because you need that, you need that fruitful void. It's just such a beautiful place for people to make their own stories in.
Fabulous. Thank you guys all for being here. I really appreciate it. This has been an amazing experience just to listen to all of the creativity just bursting over at the seams. As we get ready to wrap up, we'll just go around, and I would love for you each to talk about where people in the audience can find you and follow you, and maybe some exciting projects that you're working on or looking forward to. So we can start with Sean.
Sure. I mean, as surprising nobody on the stream, the project I'm working on right now is crowdfunding for Big Bad Con. But also on the other hat I'm wearing is Evil Hat. We're also crowdfunding Girl by Moonlight, which is a wonderful magical girl game Forges arc. I highly don't recommend crowdfunding 2 projects at a time. That's not a recommendation that I would give to anybody. But in other times of the world, you can find me on the Bird site at Sean Nittner, or basically Sean Nittner anywhere. That's pretty much where you find my happenings. Will you call on someone else, or should I pass the baton?
Oh yeah, you can pass the baton.
Danny, you're right next to me this way, at least in my view. So how about you, Danny? What are we
Yeah, I just want to encourage everybody. Hopefully this inspired y'all, everybody watching, as much as it inspired me, and hopefully this kind of gets your brain juices going, because I think a lot of times when we think about designing a game or starting something, it can be a little daunting. So thank y'all for giving us that 15 minutes of jumping into how y'all think, and I hope it encourages people to check out Pocket Quest and check out Big Bad Con as well, and maybe y'all can see these amazing people live doing this more and more. But yeah, I will pass it over bottom left corner, I think, to Aaron.
Hi, I'm Aaron. You can find me on Twitter at Aaron Katana Saez, all one word. You can find my collaborative world building podcast, All My Fantasy Children, at AMFC_podcast. We take a listener submitted prompt, create an original fantasy concept, and it adds to create one large fantasy universe, one story at a time. We try to tell very inclusive, positive fantasy, devoid of all those harmful tropes that we're so used to integrating into our worlds by default settings, unfortunately. So we're actively trying to recreate almost every trope, every character class, every magic system that we know based on fun. I make that with Jeff Stormer at Party of One Pod. You can find me on Twitter always. Anyway, I'm done rambling. Love you. Goodbye.
Who are you passing the baton to, Aaron?
Oh, I'm passing the baton to LaTia. Pass.
Thank you. It's an imaginary baton.
Love that.
Improv. Hi. My name is LaTia Jaquise. You can find me literally everywhere at LaTia Jaquise. I'm pretty sure there's only one of me, and if there isn't, then we've got problems. I stream with my co-community manager and the lovely Amy Dallin on every Tuesday at twitch.tv/D&D Beyond, where we do really fun community stuff. So you should come and check us out at 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central. I do a little thing called Rivals of Waterdeep that is ending this weekend. So if you want to come see our last episode where everything is good and nothing hurts, come check us out at twitch.tv/Rivals of Waterdeep this Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, noon Central. It's going to be a time, TM. Other than that, I'm also on the Bird app, where you can see really, really good pictures of my dog.
Very, very good dog pictures.
Good dog.
Such a good doggo. What about you, Meg?
All right. I'm Meguey Baker. I'm the only Meguey Baker on the planet. If you Google me, you will find me. Hence, full rap to my weird name. Night Sky Games on Twitter. I'm everywhere. Lumply Games on Facebook is us. The Lumply Patreon is Vincent's and me and the kids as they produce work that we will approve of. We're really hard on them. They don't get a pass. Y'all other folks sometimes get a pass when we do work, but not them. They gotta be right there. Big projects coming up. I'm putting out a second edition of Siron, in which you play people who have superpowers and amnesia. What could possibly go wrong? It's a fabulous one-shot game, and it's trucking along, doing beautiful, but I want to expand some things. So second edition of that will be out kickstarting later this year. All things being as they are, I'll be at Big Bad Con, running all kinds of games. Y'all should come play with me. I love that sort of stuff, and yeah, I love doing this sort of thing. Anybody y'all want me to come do a thing with you, just let me know.
Thank you all so much for the chat. If you guys haven't already, go check out Big Bad Con. Go check out the backer kit. Pick up your badge September 28th to October 1st in San Francisco. And also join Pocket Quest, a game jam for making your first or maybe one of many pocket-sized tabletop role-playing games. And we are providing so much support for you on Drive-Thru RPG, so we would love to see your projects come to life. Thank you all for being here. Thank you everybody in the audience for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you at Big Bad Con. Bye everyone.
Awesome.
Bye, y'all.